Let's unpack this. We are starting a deep dive today that it really takes us into a transformation so fundamental, it makes the early days of the internet feel like a gentle introduction.
A very gentle introduction.
Exactly. We've got a fantastic source document, a truly fascinating analysis centered on the future of real estate websites, specifically in the dynamic Jamaican market. And it's looking at the next decade from 2025 to 2035.
It's a critical window of time.
It is. And if you think back, cast your mind back to the late 90s, the internet,
Yeah.
it sort of emerged quietly. You had that sound of the dial-up modem.
That screech, I remember it well.
That familiar, agonizing screech, right? Static pages, really clunky email. It was the slow, creeping technological inevitability. And then all at once, it just rewrote every rule. Industries dissolved and then completely reformed around the simple concept of a website. It became your new digital passport.
Your proof of legitimacy.
Yeah, your proof you existed. And we are now, I think, standing at the precipice of something even more seismic. The source document, it actually calls this period the Second Advent.
And that's not an exaggeration. I mean, when the internet connected page to page, it was about access and publishing. What this new era of AI is doing is profoundly different. It's connecting, and this is the key phrase, intelligence to intention.
Intelligence to intention. I love that. Let's stay on that for a second because it means we're moving past just finding information.
Right.
And we're moving into receiving these highly refined answers that are tailored to our needs, our wants, maybe even our emotional state.
Exactly. And that shift changes everything. It changes how you search, how you browse, how you build trust, and crucially, how you transact a high-value asset like property in a competitive, fast-moving market like Jamaica.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really get our heads around how AI will utterly mutate the very definition of a website in the Jamaican real estate sector.
Yeah.
We need to grab the essential, actionable insights from this source and understand why AI is not just some shiny add-on. It's not a feature.
No, it's not just something you bolt onto an old digital structure.
That's the core misunderstanding right now. The source really emphasizes that so many brands are still treating AI like a side dish for the tech curious, a little conversational widget on their existing homepage.
Right.
But it's not. It is a new environment. I mean, it's a foundational shift as disruptive as the printing press was to physical documents or as transformative as electricity was to the factory floor. This is infrastructure, not decoration.
And the entire discussion, really, the philosophy of this transformation, it seems to hinge on one specific quote from the source's founder, Dean Jones. He's a chartered builder, licensed real estate professional, and this is the defining analogy for the next decade. He says, a website used to be a place you visited. The future website is a presence that follows you. And that single sentence is the perfect launchpad for this whole discussion. It just captures the move from a static repository of brochure to an active, personalized, predictive digital companion. If you are a developer, an agent, or even just interested in how PropTech is evolving in the Caribbean, understanding that quote is, well, it's the critical first step.
Okay, let's unpack that shift then. The shift in metaphors. For decades, the website was your shop window. You meticulously cleaned it up. You put your best, most appealing listings out front, and you hoped people would walk by and look inside.
Right.
But the source declares that specific time-honored metaphor is now completely obsolete. Why? I mean, fundamentally, why does the shop window idea fail in the age of intelligence?
Well, the problem with the shop window is that it's passive. It implies passivity. It just waits for the customer to come and start the interaction, and all it provides is a purely aesthetic display.
It's just lit.
It just looks. But in the AI era, the systems are inherently active. They're data hungry. The moment an AI assistant or a conversational search engine interacts with a user who is looking for property, that AI needs structured, clean data. It needs factual consistency from the source. A beautiful photo of a house that does nothing for an algorithm that's trying to verify square footage or title status or historical price movement.
So if it's no longer the external facade, the window, what is its new high-stakes role? The source gives it a very specific, almost biological term. It calls it the central nervous system of the brand.
And that analogy signals a complete internal shift in priority. It's huge. The website is no longer the marketing endpoint. It is the absolute operational core. The source specifies that the website now has to perform multiple essential functions at the same time just to be useful to this new intelligence layer of the internet.
Okay, so what are those functions? When you say nervous system, what is it actually coordinating?
It's coordinating the entire digital self of the brand. So first, it has to constantly be feeding high-quality, structured content to AI crawlers. That's how the AI knows what facts to report about your brand in the first place.
Okay, so it's the food source.
It's the food source. Second, it has to integrate seamlessly with voice search interfaces, which means it has to understand and supply answers conversationally. Third, it needs to be actively training recommendation engines based on the data it collects about user interactions and property features.
So it's learning.
It's constantly learning. And fourth, it has to power all automations, from lead scoring to follow-ups, and serve as the single authoritative anchor for the brand's identity across the entire digital world.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, a nervous system doesn't just look pretty. It coordinates reaction, movement, and it's the central point of truth for the entire organism. If that system is corrupted, the whole body fails.
Exactly. The website becomes the brand's definitive anchor. And this becomes exceptionally critical when we start thinking about the multi-platform era we live in. Everyone uses YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and soon, you know, dozens of specialized AI assistants that filter information for us.
And there's a huge temptation for brands to just put all their effort into those third-party platforms where the audience is right now.
Of course. But the source warns against this. It calls it a huge risk. If you rely solely on these external platforms, you risk becoming, and I love their phrasing, a ghost drifting through other people's systems.
A ghost. Wow.
Precisely. You lose all your autonomy. You lose control. If TikTok or Instagram changes their algorithm, your brand visibility just vanishes overnight. And worse, if a powerful AI assistant decides your competitor's data is more structured and more authoritative, it just filters you out of the conversational answer entirely. You don't even exist in that conversation. That's why the source stresses the absolute necessity of maintaining a home base, a website where your data is authoritative, structured, clean, and controlled. Without that anchor, you have zero recourse against platform changes.
And this leads us to another really powerful quote from Dean Jones that acts as the brand survival rule for this new era. He says, "A brand that depends on a single platform is a brand waiting to disappear. Survival belongs to brands that live everywhere, yet contradict nowhere."
That consistency rule. That is the operational mandate for the central nervous system. I mean, in the past, you could get away with slight discrepancies. Maybe the price on your Facebook page was a little outdated compared to the price on your website.
Sure, happens all the time.
All the time. But AI algorithms are built to spot inconsistency. If your website, your anchor says one thing and your YouTube channel says another, and your AI assistant gives a third valuation, the algorithms will deduce that you either lack integrity or you're just disorganized.
And in a market like Jamaican real estate, where trust, verification, and compliance with local regulations, especially around things like titles and taxes, are absolutely essential, having that single verifiable source of truth anchored in your central nervous system isn't just good marketing.
No, it's foundational.
It's a foundational requirement for operation. You have to live everywhere, but when the algorithm asks you a question, the answers must be identical and trustworthy. Every single time.
Every single time.
That sets the stage beautifully for the functional reality of this. We are firmly moving past the days of typing static keywords into a search bar and just hoping for the best. The source identifies three major fundamental shifts that AI is bringing to how users interact with information.
And these shifts really redefine the entire relationship. We're moving from the passive act of a buyer hunting for information to the aggressive act of a predictive system serving up customized, immediate answers.
Okay, the first shift. This one is profound. Search is becoming conversational. It's moving completely from rigid keywords to understanding complex human intent.
Yes.
The source provides such a fantastic illustration of this. The old rigid query was very transactional. It was 3-bedroom houses in Kingston under $30.
Right, very direct. But the new interaction, it mimics human conversation.
Yeah.
It allows for subjective, lifestyle-based, and even emotional queries. The question isn't a command, it's a request for assistance. So the new query is something like, show me homes in Kingston where a dog would be happy, close to a good school, and preferably with a mango tree in the yard.
I want to pause on that specific example because it's so culturally rich. The use of yard, especially in the Jamaican context, it means so much more than just a plot of land.
So much more.
It often embodies a collective identity, family space, a sense of home base. How on earth is an AI going to interpret those kinds of nuances?
It does so because it's trained on context and semantic relationships, not just on matching literal keywords. It connects the emotional intent, that desire for a traditional, comfortable, family-centric space, with the transactional intent, a house in Kingston. And crucially, because the AI is a tutor, not a librarian, it no longer just returns a list of links that might contain the answer.
It doesn't just point you to the right shelf.
Exactly. It synthesizes the data from authoritative sources and it returns refined, immediate answers.
This is where the technical requirements become so essential. If the AI is giving definitive answers, that means the content we write can't just be optimized for old-school keyword ranking anymore. So what are the specific technical requirements the source says websites must adopt to be understood and trusted by these new AI interpreters? This is the core of it.
This is where we move into the language that machines use. We had to move beyond simple HTML text. First, you need structured data. This is absolutely essential for helping the AI categorize and understand the context of every piece of information on your site.
So telling it what the information is, not just that it exists.
Precisely. Second, you need absolute semantic clarity. You have to ensure that the meaning of two baths is unambiguously two bathrooms and not, two bathing suits.
And what about that crucial technical layer, the schema markup? Most of our listeners have probably heard the term, but why is it completely non-negotiable now?
Schema markup is the digital interpreter. Think about it this way. On a standard website, the price of a property is just a number. If an AI reads $30 million, it doesn't know if that's the asking price, the property sale history, or the estimated tax value.
It's just a number on a page.
It's just a number. Schema markup uses specific tags to label that number as price or asking price, or a specific feature as number of bedrooms. It transforms unstructured text into machine-readable data. Without proper schema, your beautiful, well-written listings are basically invisible to the AI that's doing the talking. You have to have that whole suite of signals-rich, reliable metadata, proper schema markup, and total factual consistency to even be included in the answer generation.
Okay, so that's the first shift. The second major shift is, well, it's perhaps the most profound in terms of user experience. The source states the fundamental truth of the future is, users won't browse your website, the website will browse them.
That is a chillingly accurate description of what high-level personalization really is. It suggests a level of proactive, almost anticipatory knowledge of the user that goes so far beyond just saving their location preference in a cookie.
So what highly specific data points does the source say the AI will use to curate content? And we should say, assuming, as always, the user grants permission.
Right, permission is key. The intelligence engine digs deep into your intent signals, so it will know your highly specific price range and your preferred neighborhoods, and not just based on what you clicked, but what you paused on, what you lingered on. Crucially, it tracks your browsing habits and analyzes those habits to deduce your likely timeline for purchasing.
So it knows if you're just dreaming or if you're serious.
It knows if you're casually looking or if you're ready to transact in the next 90 days, but then it goes deeper. The source gets into this much deeper, almost predictive analysis, looking at your style and your finances.
How so?
It analyzes your style preferences. Do you consistently look at modern villas, or are you drawn to historic, traditional architecture? It records your past interactions with the platform. Did you ask about financing, or did you request a viewing? And finally, and this is where it gets highly sophisticated, it can study your financial behavior patterns. It looks at payment history, credit signals, and income consistency to determine your purchasing power and your risk level.
Okay, that level of proactive analysis must raise some huge implementation challenges. I mean, tracking financial behavior patterns feels incredibly difficult and sensitive, especially in a localized market where financial data isn't always centralized or perfectly structured.
It is extremely difficult, and this is exactly why the integration layer we'll discuss later is so critical. The AI is only as good as the structured data it's fed. In Jamaica, getting clean, real-time financial data requires deep, secure API connections with local banking and credit institutions. That is a major hurdle.
But the reward is worth it.
The reward is massive efficiency. Because if the platform knows all that, the endless scrolling that defines the current website experience, it just vanishes.
Which is fantastic for the user. I mean, that sense of information overload is one of the biggest frustrations with the old website models.
Absolutely. The end result of this kind of browsing is a curated property feed that dynamically updates itself in real time. If your circumstances change, say you pre-qualify for a higher mortgage, or your search habits suddenly shift from apartments to large rural lots, the feed automatically evolves to reflect that changing reality. It's efficiency weaponized. It eliminates the need for you to wade through hundreds of irrelevant listings just to find that one perfect mango tree in the yard.
All right, so that brings us to the third major shift. AI becomes the middleman. We're already seeing this with the big language models. The source correctly identifies tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. These are the new search engines.
They're the new intermediaries.
They are. They read your site, they summarize your content, and then they either recommend you or, critically, they ignore poorly structured sites entirely.
And that is the existential threat for brands who fail to adapt. Previously, the whole goal of your digital efforts, SEO, paid ads, everything, was to get the user to your website.
For the click.
Get the click. Now, the goal is to get the AI to understand and trust your website so profoundly that it can recommend you to the user without the user ever necessarily visiting your homepage. The AI becomes the gatekeeper.
And to define this dramatic shift in power, the source provides another fantastic, memorable analogy. It says, if Google was the librarian of the internet, AI is the private tutor. It reads everything, but it handpicks only what serves the student.
That analogy perfectly captures the nature of curation and authority. I mean, think about the difference. A librarian gives you the key to the archives, directs you to the relevant section, and lets you explore thousands of books on your own.
Right, they empower you to search.
Exactly. A private tutor, on the other hand, has already read all those books. They've filtered out the irrelevant material, they know your specific learning style, they know your curriculum, and they present only the highly relevant knowledge tailored just for you.
So if AI is the private tutor and I'm a real estate brand, what are the market consequences if that tutor decides my content just isn't trustworthy enough to be handpicked for the student?
The consequences are dire. If the tutor, the AI, deems your data inconsistent, or your site structure is messy, or you lack the schema markup it needs for interpretation, the user will never even know you exist, even if you have the perfect listing for them. You are filtered out because you weren't serving the student efficiently enough. Your brand is competing not for traffic anymore, but for algorithmic authority.
And the stakes are highest in high-value transactions like real estate.
The highest. Because users want immediate verified answers, not a list of links they have to go and vet themselves. The tutor's recommendation is implicitly a guarantee of quality.
Okay, we've established the why, the conceptual shift from browsing to intelligence. Now let's get into the how. How will these platforms actually function differently? The source transitions here to the functional reality, giving us 5 essential transformations that future Jamaican real estate websites will implement over the next decade.
And these 5 points really showcase the move from a simple display tool to a powerful, predictive, analytical, and fully conversational instrument.
The first one is that the website becomes an AI-powered property oracle. It won't just display listings and prices, it will interpret the entire listing, the local context, and the user's intent to provide this holistic, context-rich advice.
And that moves the website beyond being a catalog and turns it into a consultant. Let's use the detailed scenario provided in the source to really grasp the depth of interpretation required here. A buyer asks aloud, what community in Jamaica is best for a young professional who loves the beach but works in Kingston 2 days a week?
Okay, that query alone requires balancing at least 3 separate disciplines: lifestyle, finance, and logistics. To answer that, the AI can't just pull up properties near the coast. It has to perform intense, real-time data fusion. So what are the specific, complex, integrated data points that this oracle needs to combine simultaneously to give a meaningful answer?
Well, it requires cross-referencing commute data. Which roads are backed up at rush hour? What's the average travel time from, say, a specific beach town to New Kingston? It has to fuse that with nuanced lifestyle indicators, like proximity to specific amenities that the user's demographic enjoys.
And it also has to blend in hard numbers.
Yes, it fuses hard financial metrics like current property values and historical volatility with infrastructure realities like broadband availability and reliability, which is absolutely crucial for a work-from-home professional. But then it goes deeper into community health, which is challenging data to standardize.
Oh, so?
It layers on current crime statistics, and not just broad parish data, but highly localized neighborhood data.
Right.
It factors in detailed cost of living estimates for that specific area. And critically, it incorporates forward-looking data like approved future development plans. Is a new road coming? Is a major resort being built nearby that could impact value and traffic?
That sounds incredibly complex to manage in a single, cohesive system, especially when you're dealing with localized, often non-digitized data like future town planning in small parishes. I mean, how do you quantify a good school or reliably track future development plans across an entire island?
That is the principal implementation challenge for PropTech developers in the Caribbean. You must have clean, geocoded data feeds that are constantly being updated. To quantify a good school, for example, the AI analyzes government reports, standardized test scores, and even parental feedback data, all weighted by the user's specific search parameters. And to track development plans, the system relies on integrating with government planning agencies, which is another reason why the integration we'll discuss later is non-negotiable.
So if the data is missing or messy, the oracle fails.
It fails. It's basically performing the job of 5 different human experts: the realtor, the financial advisor, the town planner, and the data analyst, all at once.
Okay, moving to the second transformation, the creation of ultra-personalized portals. The act of a user logging into a modern real estate platform will be instantly transformative. It's not a slight adjustment, it's a fully curated universe built just for them.
Right, this personalization moves way past just saving simple search filters. When you log into a platform like Jamaica Homes, you should feel like you're interacting with a system that knows your entire real estate journey better than you do.
And the source breaks this personalization down into 4 specific layers of intelligence. What are they?
So layer 1 is the foundation. Listings filtered only to relevance. That's the basic part. But layer 2 introduces market dynamics. You'll see dynamic price predictions for each specific home based on current market signals, predicting what that property will be worth in 12 months. This is powerful, forward-looking data.
That dynamic price prediction is a huge leap in transparency. How does an AI even manage to predict the price of a single unique asset like a house?
It's machine learning, primarily. The system ingests vast quantities of historical sales data, local valuation records, current inventory levels, interest rates, and localized economic health indicators. It identifies patterns that are invisible to the human eye.
Like what?
For instance, it might find how the sale price of 2-bedroom units in Mandeville is correlated with crime statistics in neighboring parishes 2 quarters later. It then uses these correlations to generate a forecast, and it updates that forecast hourly as new data comes in. It gives you, the buyer, an objective data-backed view of whether the asking price is justified.
Then layer 3 brings design into the equation, generating AI-generated renovation ideas specific to the property layout you're looking at. That's a powerful visualization tool.
It is, because it solves the imagination gap. So many buyers walk into an outdated house and just can't visualize the potential.
Well,
The AI takes the 3D twin of the property and renders specific cost-estimated renovation concepts tailored to your known aesthetic preferences: a modern kitchen, a rustic deck, a swimming pool layout.
but a quick question on that. If a user sees these AI-generated renovation plans, who's liable if that visualization is physically impossible on the actual property? Maybe because of zoning laws or structural issues?
That's a crucial point of necessary disclosure the source touches on. The platform must make it absolutely clear that these are AI-generated visualizations and estimates only, and not engineering blueprints. This is why the central nervous system has to integrate compliance checks into its utility layer. The AI's creative suggestions must be vetted against known zoning regulations or structural limitations stored in the system's dataset before being presented. Liability ultimately rests with the platform if it fails to include proper warnings.
And finally, layer 4 completes the utility picture.
Yes. Here you'd see mortgage qualification estimates updated in real time as your financial profile shifts, often linking back to your banking systems with permission. And you'd get highly refined alerts matching your emotional preferences. The system learns not just what you search for, but the feeling you're searching for: that quiet, safe, family-oriented neighborhood versus the high-energy central location.
Okay, the third transformation brings us back to the conversational layer, specifically the interface. The source says that voice will replace typing, and they link this directly to the Jamaican context as a major accelerant.
This local context is vital. I mean, Jamaicans already exhibit high mobile usage and a cultural tendency toward voice communication. You just have to look at the high prevalence and acceptance of WhatsApp voice notes over traditional texting.
It's true, voice notes are everywhere.
They are, and this cultural predisposition suggests that AI voice interfaces will dominate the real estate interaction model faster than in many other markets, perhaps within the next 5 to 7 years. It's just a natural cultural fit for simplicity and efficiency.
Voice interfaces offer a simplicity that typing a URL, navigating a menu, and filtering listings just can't match. What are the specific types of quick, efficient voice commands the user will employ? It has to go beyond basic search.
Oh, it absolutely does. The commands move past simple search to active management, comparative analysis, and decision support. For instance, the rapid query: find me a house in Mandeville under $40. That's just the start.
So what's next?
More complex actions are just as simple. You could say, save this listing and compare it instantly to the next 2, or using that deep data fusion we talked about. Tell me if this property price is fair compared to the area average and predict its value in 3 years. The user expects instant, actionable intelligence based on a spoken command.
And that has to handle different accents and patois variations. The complexity of understanding regional dialect and specific pronunciations in real time adds another layer of technical difficulty, doesn't it?
It is the ultimate test of the AI's training. If the voice engine is only trained on US or UK English, it will fail to understand local intent and place names. The success of voice dominance in Jamaica hinges on building specific language models capable of interpreting Jamaican English and patois nuances, including variations in speech patterns, intonation, and cultural terms. A universal model just won't cut it.
Right, a crucial localization effort.
Okay.
Okay, so number 4. The fourth transformation is the dissolution of the static contact form, that digital dead end replaced by highly sophisticated virtual agents.
Yes, and these are not just the old scripted chatbots that can answer 3 FAQ questions. These are multifunctional staff members capable of performing complex operational tasks.
The capabilities of these AI agents sound extensive. They have to move beyond just conversation and actually manage parts of the transaction. So what are the key things the source says these agents will be capable of doing?
The list is comprehensive because the agent is integrated deep into that nervous system. So these agents will talk like humans, using natural language generation. But their intelligence goes deeper. They will have access to the entire CRM system, allowing them to track your interaction history and preferences across months. They will be able to autonomously schedule viewings by checking an agent's availability and property access codes.
Wow.
And crucially, they will pre-qualify buyers based on real-time financial data, and they're moving toward the capability to actively negotiate on behalf of the user or the platform within preset parameters.
Okay, the negotiation part is where the AI really flexes its muscles as a data oracle. Instead of relying on a human agent's experience or, their opinion, buyers and sellers will be asking AI agents the hard, data-driven questions. What are some examples of these queries?
They are direct, highly sensitive, and market-focused. So a buyer might ask, should I bid $5 million less than the asking price right now? The AI doesn't rely on a gut feeling. It analyzes comparable sales from the last 90 days, the property's time on market, market velocity for that specific home type, and current demand indicators to provide a quantified recommendation.
So it might say what?
It might say, bid $4 million less, but include a 48-hour closing clause to increase the chance of seller acceptance. And for the seller, they might ask, why hasn't my property sold yet after 60 days? The AI diagnoses the listing quality. Was the price too high compared to the predicted value? Are the photos inadequate? It will analyze demand signals, competitor pricing, and may even suggest improvements like staging or a price reduction, all based on objective data. The key is that the AI agents answer based on market data and prediction, not subjective human opinion or persuasion.
And the fifth and final transformation. Real estate websites become live market dashboards. So the complete end of the static page entirely. The website transforms from a set of fixed documents into a constant, always-on source of market intelligence.
And this reflects the future buyer's demand for immediacy and total transparency. The old model of refreshing a page every 24 hours to see if a price changed. It's dead. The expectation is that everything updates live, reflecting the fluidity of the market. If the market shifts based on a new interest rate announcement, the platform reflects it instantly.
This means a massive shift in infrastructure is required to track and display these changes. So what are the 5 specific types of critical live data that the source predicts the Jamaican buyer in 2032 will expect to see on their personalized dashboard?
They will demand continuous, real-time indicators. First, live price changes, reflecting immediate market dynamics. Second, they'll need to track live demand indicators, how many people are viewing or saving similar properties compared to the total inventory. Third, they'll monitor live buyer activity in their target neighborhood. Is the market speeding up or slowing down this hour?
And the predictive element must also be live, moving past just historical trends.
Correct. So fourth, they'll want forward-looking insights. Live neighborhood analytics detailing what's happening with local infrastructure projects, school ratings, and security reports. And fifth, for the investment community, live rental projections, constantly adjusting based on local tourism trends, short-term rental laws, and current occupancy rates. This shifts the website from a place of just consuming listings to a critical financial planning and due diligence tool that has to be accurate down to the minute.
Okay, that detailed look at the functional transformations shows us just how radical this shift is globally. But now, let's focus specifically on the Jamaican context. The source argues that AI adoption is actually accelerated in Jamaica due to its unique market characteristics and inherent structural challenges.
This is where we anchor the whole technological discussion to the island's reality. Jamaica's large diaspora, its geographic challenges, and its need for increased transaction efficiency make AI not just a luxury, but an essential component for market growth.
Let's start with the first accelerant, high mobile usage and diaspora reliance.
Right. So the first point is Jamaica's pervasive mobile-first environment. Because the market largely bypassed the desktop-dominant era, future real estate websites have to function like apps without being apps fast, intuitive, highly interactive, and designed for touch, conversation, and small screens.
And tied intrinsically to that mobile nature is the massive diaspora buyer segment. Those buyers living overseas, often in places like the UK, the US, or Canada. They're highly motivated, but they can't physically view properties until the very end of the transaction. The source stresses that AI-enhanced tools are absolutely critical for serving this demographic and closing that distance gap.
They require digital verification tools that replace physical presence and the trust that comes from seeing a property in person. The tools listed are specific and focus on verification and visualization. They need sophisticated AI-generated neighborhood tours that dynamically adjust to their preferences, showing them the walk to the local market or the route to the beach, not just static street photos.
And more than just tours.
Much more. They require verified 3D digital twins of properties, ensuring that the digital representation is highly accurate and defensible against any legal claims of misrepresentation.
And given the island's geography, the risk assessment becomes paramount. It moves beyond a luxury feature to a core piece of due diligence.
Exactly. I mean, in an island environment susceptible to intense weather and geological issues, the AI must provide sophisticated risk analysis. This includes modeling for local concerns like flooding, landslides, and erosion risk overlaid with future development plans. For instance, are they building a major highway that will significantly increase noise and pollution? This moves beyond simple property data into critical geospatial intelligence.
And finally, the essential transparency tools needed to build trust with a buyer who is, 1,500 miles away.
The AI has to provide undeniable clarity. It delivers transparency tools for valuation numbers, not just what the seller asks, but what 3 independent market data sources predict the property's worth. And they need clarity on legal documents, title history verification. Ultimately, the AI helps provide price fairness estimators, offering an objective gauge against which they can measure the asking price, minimizing that feeling of being taken advantage of simply because they're an overseas buyer.
Speaking of trust, the source acknowledges that trust and transparency have historically been a significant challenge within the Jamaican real estate market. As in many emerging markets, this is where AI moves from being a marketing tool to a powerful governance tool.
Right. AI is positioned here as a powerful, unbiased verifier, designed to overcome these endemic market challenges by bringing a level of objective data analysis to a process that has often relied on subjective relationships and sometimes opaque systems.
So how exactly does the AI fulfill that role of the unbiased verifier? What specific anti-fraud and authentication mechanisms are expected to be built into the websites of 2030?
The mechanism is largely anomaly detection. First, AI will aid in authenticating listings and proactively verifying agents against professional registries in real time. It is highly effective at recognizing patterns that deviate from the norm, so it'll be used for spotting price anomalies, flagging properties listed significantly above or below the predicted market value for human review.
And it can detect fraud.
It can detect fraud patterns within listings, such as the repetitive use of stock images or suspicious gaps in ownership history. That deep dive into historical records sounds difficult without fully integrated systems, but it's necessary. The AI works to overcome this by using any available digital data points to check historical ownership data and ensure the asking price is consistently matching valuation records over time. If a property valuation jumped 300% in 1 year without a major development permit being filed, the AI raises a red flag.
It forces the human system to address the inconsistency.
Exactly. It makes the entire ecosystem more trustworthy simply by demanding verifiable data.
Okay, the third major accelerant is the inevitable and necessary structural integration of industry and government systems. Let's start with the improvements expected for the Jamaican Multiple Listing Service, the MLS.
The source describes an AI-driven MLS that will revolutionize efficiency for agents and, by extension, the consumer. We should expect instant property matching, making the process far faster for agents trying to match buyers to homes. It will also include automated compliance checks to ensure listings meet regulatory standards before being published, which reduces risk for the agency.
And the agents themselves benefit from the conversational shift.
Absolutely. The system will feature AI-improved listing quality by flagging poor descriptions or missing photos, essentially acting as a quality control editor. And agents will benefit immensely from natural language search capabilities. They'll be able to query the MLS conversationally. Show me all colonial-style homes in St. Andrew that were relisted this month. And finally, the system will provide predictive analytics for pricing and market trends specific to that agent's portfolio.
Now let's talk about the ultimate game changer, the integration of government systems. For our listeners who may not be local, let's briefly define the crucial agencies involved. Which specific agencies are mentioned?
The integration centers around three key governmental bodies. First is the National Land Agency, the NLA, which holds the definitive record for property titles, surveys, and maps. Second is Tax Administration Jamaica, or TJ, which manages property tax records and stamp duties. And third is eGov Jamaica, which is the entity driving digital transformation across all public services.
So what are the specific transactional benefits from connecting the property website's central nervous system directly to the structured data feeds of the NLA and TJ?
The benefits are a massive reduction in time, cost, and risk. Integrating with the NLA vastly improves title verification reliability, drastically speeding up the process of confirming legal ownership. Connecting to TJAJ expedites tax history retrieval and allows platforms to immediately calculate stamp duty and transfer tax projections for buyers. That removes a huge friction point in the early stages of a sale.
And eGov's role.
eGov integration ensures that the platform can access streamlined data on development approvals and permits, replacing slow, manual, paper-based processes with instantaneous data exchange. This structural integration is the engine that allows the AI to function as a true oracle.
We started by questioning the website's role, and we need to return to the core question. Will websites become obsolete? After exploring this massive infrastructural overhaul, the answer from the source is an emphatic absolutely not, but the conclusion is also clear. The dead, static website is finished.
The website maintains its essential role as that central verifiable anchor, but it must fundamentally change its characteristics to serve this new digital environment. The future website is not a passive destination. It is an active living presence.
The source summarizes this core transformation by listing 7 essential traits of the future website. They are alive, adaptive, personalized, conversational, integrated, intelligent, and omnipresent.
And that list really defines its functionality as an organism. It is no longer a fixed document. It is a constantly shifting, data-ingesting entity dedicated entirely to the user's journey. This leads to the ultimate statement on its evolution. A website is no longer a destination. It is a companion. If your digital presence isn't walking with the customer, it will be left behind. It requires a complete shift in the organizational mindset.
So to fulfill this role, the website has to expand its function into 4 distinct integrated layers, all managed by that central nervous system. Let's break those down, starting with the front-facing communication layer.
That's A, the conversational layer, AI assistance. This is the voice of the brand. This is where the website manifests as an AI personality, using all that structured data and market intelligence we discussed to engage the customer directly and solve their problems conversationally. This layer is responsible for high-quality, continuous dialogue, whether that's through text, voice, or hybrid models.
Then we move to how property is actually experienced, B, the visual layer, 3D worlds and AR. This speaks directly to the needs of the diaspora buyer, but also to the demand for immersive, verifiable experiences.
Right. Listings must transcend static photos and videos. The website serves up verified 3D digital twins and augmented reality, or AR, experiences that let you walk through the property, inspect details, measure rooms, and even visualize those AI-generated renovations without ever being physically present. This is the layer that builds confidence and reduces the need for expensive, early travel.
And C, the social layer, content that lives everywhere. This addresses that need to be omnipresent without the risk of contradiction.
This is the execution of that live everywhere, contradict nowhere rule. The website acts as the content factory, feeding authoritative, clean, geocoded content that travels across every major platform: YouTube, TikTok, WhatsApp, Instagram. The website is the single source of truth, and social platforms are just the distribution channels for that truth. If the website updates a price, the social content distribution layer updates instantaneously.
And finally, the most critical layer for the brand's anchor status, D, the utility layer, APIs and integrations. This is the foundational infrastructure that makes the website the ecosystem hub.
This layer is pure plumbing. It's complex API architecture that allows the site to exchange data securely and seamlessly with crucial external systems. It includes highly sensitive systems like banks for real-time pre-qualification, government systems like the NLA for title verification, sophisticated property valuation tools, external user behavior engines, deep analytics platforms, and the CRMs that manage all human-agent interaction. The website is the central switchboard for all these critical business operations.
So, if the technology becomes standardized, if every successful platform has these 7 traits and 4 layers, then what fundamentally separates one real estate leader from another in the Jamaican market? The source is very clear on this: brand.
When the technology converges and all players have access to similar AI processing power, the core differentiator shifts entirely to the intangible. The source clarifies that we're talking about identity, integrity, and experience brand. The honesty of the data you feed the AI, the consistency of your messaging, and the quality of the interaction that happens after the AI has done its part.
Real estate is built entirely on trust. If everyone is using the same powerful AI tools, the honesty of the data you feed into your central nervous system and the actions the AI takes on your behalf become the ultimate reflection of your brand's integrity.
AI doesn't tolerate inconsistency. It doesn't tolerate hypocrisy in data structure. It amplifies strong brands because their data is clean and verifiable. And conversely, it will quickly expose and erase weak brands that rely on old tricks or contradictory information. The algorithm learns your character.
This brings us to the final critical quote about reputation in the AI era. It completely shifts the burden of proof onto the company's verifiable actions. Dean Jones states, "In the age of AI, your brand isn't what you say it is. It's what the algorithms deduce from how you behave."
That is a profound summation. The AI, reading all your interactions and data consistency across all platforms, from your NLA integration down to your price predictions, it deduces your level of authority and trust. What are the signals of a strong brand that the AI looks for? Consistency, factual accuracy, responsive agents, verifiable title history. If your digital footprint shows contradictory pricing, misleading listings, or poor client follow-through, the algorithm deducts your reputation score, and the private tutor, the AI middleman, will recommend your competitor instead.
You lose authority simply through messy behavior.
Exactly.
This has been an incredibly detailed look at a massive transformation. If we were to synthesize the 5 major takeaways for our listener, we would be the clear markers of the digital future for this crucial sector.
I think so. First, AI replaces search conversational complexity, overrides keyword rigidity. Second, personalization replaces browsing. The website actively seeks out and anticipates the user's highly specific needs.
Third, voice replaces typing efficiency, and the mobile context dominate the interaction model, especially in markets like Jamaica.
Fourth, trust replaces advertising integrity, verified by data consistency, is the new currency for algorithmic authority. And fifth, intelligence replaces information. We move from raw data to curated, predictive, actionable insight.
What's fascinating is the perspective the source offers on Jamaica's position. It suggests the island isn't necessarily playing catch-up, but has a unique, culturally accelerated opportunity to leapfrog directly into this advanced digital future.
Absolutely. Because the market is already mobile first, and the historical friction points of trust, verification, and bureaucracy are so pronounced, AI offers a potent, efficient solution that can jump past older, slower desktop adoption curves. The platforms that embrace this central nervous system model and government integration early will define PropTech leadership not just in the Caribbean, but potentially globally.
To leave you with the ultimate summary, we return to Dean Jones's final provocative thought that encompasses not just real estate, but the fundamental philosophical shift we are currently experiencing. He says, "The internet changed how we publish. AI will change how we exist."
Wow.
That statement suggests we are moving past mere communication efficiency and into a restructuring of our very reality, where our digital companion determines our opportunities, our access, and our level of trust in the marketplace. It's a profound implication for the next decade, and it's definitely something to mull over as you consider the health of your own central digital nervous system.
Indeed. The dead, static website is finished. The crucial question facing every brand right now is not if the website is evolving, but whether you are evolving the structure and integrity of your data to meet this new intelligence.
This has been The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.